I think we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody. This is Providence and Beyond Belong at Brown session. My name is Bryce, and I've got a really great group of panelists here for you today. If you have questions, we love to hear them. Please put them in the Q&A box on the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. The chat has been disabled, but we love to hear from you from the Q&A. And I do have some colleagues in the background working on getting those answered for you, and we'll hold some of them towards the end and answer them live if I think they might be helpful for the larger group. So for today's agenda, we're going to go over some neighborhoods in Providence. We're going to talk about New England and the Northeast as a general area, different things to do closer to campus, kind of the generalized cost of living, as well as getting around. So if we want to introduce our panelists, Joel, if you want to start.
Thank you, Bryce. I'm Joel Revel. I'm the Deputy Dean for Academic and Student Affairs in the Division of Masters and Professional Programs at Brown, and I've been here for about 13 years now.
Awesome, thank you. And Dev?
Sure. So I'm Dev. I am a second-year master's student in computer science, originally from New York, Long Island specifically, and I am the enrollment graduate assistant here. So if you reach out to anyone at SPS, ask to meet a master's student, they're probably going to direct you to me. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm Bryce. I'm the admissions counselor on the School of Professional Studies enrollment team. So if we move to the next slide. Awesome. So let's start talking about some Providence neighborhoods. On the next slide, you'll see a good map of our area. This is kind of the New England plus New York, more of the Northeast kind of area. Brown is located in Providence, Rhode Island, which you can see is kind of the center of all of those little lines right there. It's pretty close to a lot of different big city hubs. It's close to Albany, New York City. You can get around to a lot of pretty fun areas pretty easily. For those folks who are not necessarily familiar with this area of the US, I wanted to kind of give an overview there. Providence is a great central place. There's a lot of fun things to do here, but you do have access to some of these other cities. So Boston, I would say, is probably the most popular one that I hear people go to on the weekends when they want to get out of Providence. It's 50 miles away, but you can also take the train. It takes about an hour to get there, and you can get a $10 pass on the weekends, which is really great. You can also get to New York City on the Amtrak train. That takes about 3 hours. But that's a fun little weekend getaway if you wanted to do that with your friends. There's also a lot of things in Rhode Island to do. You know, you've got beaches, 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes from the city. You've got a lot of restaurants, a really great art scene, fun trivia scene. And we'll get into more things to do in the area a little bit later. But for now, Dev, how was your move to the Providence area? And what kind of surprised you about living here? What do you like about it?
Sure. So I grew up about 45 minutes-ish out of Manhattan. So I know a lot about the big city vibe. In fact, I did my undergrad in Boston. So I went from big city to big city and then spent a year working in Boston. Once I came down to Providence, though, I really did enjoy kind of how small Providence is without sacrificing a lot of the things to do. You know, I'm not ready to live in the suburbs quite yet. I don't want to do the whole white picket fence thing without access to places to go, people to meet, things like that. So Providence was just nice in the sense of its scale, not too big, with still plenty to do.
Great, thank you. And on the next slide, we can talk about some of the neighborhoods. So Providence is a small city, but it's separated into smaller neighborhoods. So this is, I know it looks like a big map, but this is just all of the neighborhoods that are kind of in the Providence area. So the ones that are in walking distance are definitely the ones that students spend the most time living and learning in. Students don't have to live on campus when you're a master's student. That's kind of a perk. But these neighborhoods are a lot of really popular places for our students to go, and they have a lot of things going on, restaurants, things to do, entertainment. It's very vibrant. So College Hill is the location of Brown University. It's kind of a typical New England campus setting. As you can see, it's got, you know, fall going on right now, so it can get kind of spooky this time of year, which I'm a fan of. And one of the really popular places there is Thayer Street. It's a really popular meeting place with a movie theater, with cafes, restaurants, shops, all sorts of really fun stuff. And it's right in the heart of campus. So it gives you as a student an opportunity to take a coffee break, go out with your friends, find some entertainment, go shopping. And the Brown Bookstore is also on Thayer Street, so really centrally located and easy to access. There are neighborhoods that are also on the public bus line. As a Brown student, you get a free bus pass with your ID. And so some of the students who live in those neighborhoods, especially around the Jewelry District where the River House is, which is Brown affiliated housing, it's really nice to be able to use public transportation. Dev, where do you spend the most time at? You said you're in affiliated housing, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I currently live in some of Brown's auxiliary housing, which are some accessory dwelling units owned by Brown University that we can, as master students, get rent for. So that my current place is located up on College Hill. All my classes are also up on College Hill, seeing as I'm in the Department of Computer Science. But I also do spend quite a bit of time downtown at the School of Professional Studies itself. Bryce and Victoria see me down there all the time, stealing some snacks. But it's again, like Bryson mentioned, it's super easy access to get kind of anywhere in the immediate Providence area with that free bus pass, and it's great living up on College Hill.
Thank you. Joel, are there any other places in like the Rhode Island area and Providence that you enjoy spending time in?
Sure. So first of all, I live, unlike a lot of students, over in the West End in what's known as the Armory District, which is also a great neighborhood. There's a bunch of fantastic restaurants, breweries, a couple of big parks. But one thing I like about Rhode Island, it's all pretty accessible. I bike, so I often will ride my bike down the East Bay bike path, which runs south from Providence for about 16 miles, or out the Washington something bike path, which runs west of here for I think up to maybe 30 miles. So there's a bunch of great biking. You mentioned beaches. I also like to hike. There are a ton of great places to hike within, 20 or 30 minutes of the city. And it's all pretty accessible because you can take the bus anywhere in the state for free, or, get a zip car or something and go out somewhere a little bit less accessible. Nothing's really remote. It's all pretty close to Providence.
Definitely. Thank you. So if we want to move to the next slide, I can talk about some more things to do in the Providence area. So on our next slide, please, we have a list of some popular restaurants in the Providence area. There's anything you can imagine under the sun. We've got another pretty popular college, Johnson & Wales, that shares a campus space with us, and they have a great culinary program, and a lot of those culinary students fall in love with Providence, decide to stay and open up their own restaurants. So the food scene in Providence is really amazing. I know I moved out here just a couple years ago and was really impressed by the food scene. One of our favorites in the office is Zaco Taco. It's a Mexican restaurant that has really great tacos. I also really love Plant City. If you are interested in vegan food, if you are vegan, they have 3 different restaurants in one building, as well as a speakeasy. So that's a really fun place. And Seven Stars Bakery is probably my favorite place to go for coffee. Dev, do you have any favorites either are on this list or maybe aren't?
Yeah, so a couple that I was hoping would make this list but did not are Aleppo Sweets, which is a Syrian bakery a little bit east of College Hill. Some of the best baklava I've ever had. Some great coffee as well. I do love me some of that like proper Arabic style coffee, as well as a Nigerian food place that opened relatively recently called The Village, which is just amazing. So some really good jollof as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Joel, do you have any that you would like to share?
I do. First of all, I just want to say I'm really glad that you mentioned the village, which somehow nobody knows about. It is delicious. Um, Two of my favorites that aren't on here, for maybe sort of everyday or not super special meals out. I love Chalongos, which is some fantastic Mexican food over in Olneyville. And when your parents are in town, if you're lucky enough to have your parents come and treat you for graduation, get them to take you to Gift Horse, which was just named one of the New York Times 50 best restaurants in America.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I also feel like we need to mention Federal Hill. Federal Hill is where everybody goes to get their Italian food. It's just a city of Italian restaurants, basically. It's amazing. And I mean, there hasn't been one that I've tried that I haven't liked. So if we want to go to the next slide and talk about some more things to do. So Providence is super lively. I know it's a smaller city, but it is so much fun. There's trivia, there's farmers markets, there's Pride is in Providence. There's so many like fun different festivals and things to do. I'm there all the time. Um, so some of these things on our slides that I definitely want to point out, the Roger Williams Park Zoo is very fun. That one, it might be a little bit more of a bus ride to take rather than a walking distance, but it's a blast. The Providence Athenaeum is another really popular bookstore. There is a fountain outside of it, where it's said that if you drink the water from the fountain, your soul will always return to Providence, or you're destined to always return to Providence. So I think that's a really fun one. And they have made the water drinkable, so it is safe and healthy to drink. You don't have to worry about it. Waterfire is another really amazing event that happens in Providence. They do it on the weekends, and there's a huge river that goes through Providence that has all of these baskets full of firewood. And at night, once the sun goes down, they light all of these baskets going up and down the river on fire, and there's fire performances, and there's boat rides, and there's vendors and live music, and it's so much fun, and it's totally free to go, and it's honestly kind of magical. So Providence is a really fun place. There's so many cool things to do. There's also the RISD Museum. So RISD, the Rhode Island School of Design, is another college that is in Providence as well. And they are, the School of Design. So they've got this fabulous museum. And as a Brown student with your ID, you get free access. So I definitely recommend doing that. There's also a lot of Brown hosted events. Joel, do you want to talk about some of the events that the Student Affairs team puts on?
Sure. So our team within our office puts on a number of events just for master's students that range from really broad events for anybody who wants to come to kind of more targeted events for instance, students with kids. We often do like a trip to the Providence Children's Museum. We've been doing more wellness related events lately, so free yoga or acupuncture. Um, we do a couple of beer gardens a year right outside, often one right outside this building, which is great. There's a beautiful park on the river. And then there's a ton of other events that we don't sponsor, but that are open to anybody on the Brown campus, from theater to music to, dance, performance, all kinds of things that are happening virtually all the time. In fact, I'm going to have to leave this session a little bit early because there's a lecture that's on my field of expertise happening that I'm going to run up to here.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you all. We got you. Dev, do you have anything fun that you would like to point out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like sports. Been playing a lot of sports, but pretty much my whole life. So if you're into sports, not only Brown but the wider Providence community has plenty of places to go do whatever you want. Recently, I just to try it out. There was a Pilates studio that opened up. I tried it. Not my thing. I learned it, but still enjoyed it. I'm also an avid martial artist. There's a couple of great studios in the area. So pretty much whatever you're trying to find, Providence will offer it in some capacity.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Cool. So if we want to go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit about the cost of living in Providence. So next slide, please. Thank you. The regional cost of living. It is more affordable than the other large cities in the Northeast. It is 12% higher than the national average, but in the area, it is considered to be more affordable. This is just kind of giving you a big picture of what living looks like as you're considering your decision to move to Providence to join Brown. On the next slide, we can talk a little bit more about the local neighborhood cost of living. This gives you kind of an average of what rent looks like for a two-person apartment. So if you wanted to find someone that maybe you liked in your class that you would want to room with, I think there are some really good forums online that you can connect with people as well. But these are kind of the averages of what you're looking like. And of course, it's an average. So there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. But my recommendation is start early, early, early. As soon as you're admitted, as soon as you know that this is where you're going, start looking for housing, start applying for housing, because it is, again, a smaller city. So there is limited availability housing wise. So just take that stress off your plate, do it as early as possible. Find something that you like, submit that application. And on the next slide, we can talk a little bit more about getting around. So next slide has some of our transportation options. Brown University does have a shuttle that you get to use for free. It's got this map right there on the screen for you of where it travels. It travels down to the Jewelry District where SPS is located, and then up the hill where the main campus is located. So that's a really helpful tool. I use that a lot, getting up and down that hill. It is a hill. It is a tough hill to climb up and down. I don't know, Dev, if you have tried to climb that hill, but I have tried to climb that hill and it was tough. But the other thing that is pretty nice is that there are a lot of the like bikes and scooters that you can rent, that you just like get the little app on your phone and they're electric and they'll take you to where you need to go and then you can just leave it, which is kind of awesome. And Lyft and Uber is, again, pretty popular here. In the larger Rhode Island area, you do get access to the Rhode Island Public Transportation Authority, which RIPTA is what we call it. So the buses, you get a free access with your Brown ID, which is really helpful. There's also a lot of zip cars in the area, which is a new one. And then in New England, kind of beyond, there is the TF Green Airport, which is located just south of Providence. There's also the Boston Logan Airport, which is in Boston. So I would say it's definitely maybe 2 hours from the campus. But it is a larger airport. So if you needed those more international flights or those further flights, that's a good place to look as well. There's also the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority. That's the Massachusetts version of the RIPTA. And you can get $10 tickets on the weekend to get up and around Massachusetts. And I know a lot of people take advantage of that. Joel, do you have anything to input about different transportation styles that you've tried and find helpful?
Well, as I said, I bike, so I've always biked to work, including up College Hill for many years.
Wow.
It's not a bad biking city. The biking infrastructure is increasingly good. Um, in terms of driving, you're right, Boston is really easy. The train is super easy. If you go at a time where there's not too much traffic, Logan is under an hour and Boston's under an hour. If you go at the wrong time, they're both like 3 hours away. So you learn to time your travel. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. And Dev, do you use the shuttle?
Yes, so my girlfriend actually goes to the med school, so I go back and forth quite often, and I like sparing myself the hike up the hill. With that said, though, what isn't mentioned here is that Providence is also a very walkable city. Of course, sans the hill itself. If you're, for example, in College Hill and you want to go out west towards Fox, or south rather, towards Fox Point, you just walk down there. Similar to if you're downtown, plenty of places you can just wander around just on foot.
Definitely. I know that I walk to trivia after work and walk all over. So definitely a very walkable city. Thank you for mentioning that. Great. So if we want to go to the next slide, we can open it up for a Q&A. We'd love to hear your questions. If you want to just drop them in the Q&A little box on the bottom of your toolbar, we will start getting those answered. Someone was asking for the prices again, that average rent, if you wouldn't mind going back to that slide, Emma. For the
And that
average.
is, if I understand correctly, that is per unit, right? So it's per two-bedroom apartment.
Mhm.
So of
Oh,
course, if you're willing to get some roommates, that price drops dramatically,
yes.
which is what I'm doing for the record.
All right. Someone's asking, will the recording be sent to us? Yes, we will send the recording out. We're currently having some issues with our YouTube, so if you're waiting on some of those other presentations, they are coming, I promise. Just request a little bit of patience there, but they will get there once we figure out our technical issues. Um, What kind of career support is available for master's students? Joel, you might have some insight on that.
Yeah, so we're in the process of building what I think is going to be, is already some of the strongest career support for master students in the country. I think you'll find if you look at other master's programs at other schools, and I don't want to point fingers at anyone, but a lot of them will have one person in the career office who handles master's students, or who handles master students and also PhD students and a few other groups. We have three career professionals dedicated exclusively to master students and plans to expand that number in the future. So we have a really wonderful team here in our office who do all kinds of career events. They will happily have one-on-one sessions with you. They do what they call a resume roadshow. Well, they'll go out to different spots where there are a lot of students, engineering building or life sciences biology buildings, and work with you on your CVs. They'll work with you on job search, and they're building out increasingly capacity to work with employers, so that we're going to be bringing more employers to campus to meet with master students, and with alumni to create a strong alumni network so that they can draw on alumni to do career mentoring, and pull together panels on different industries. And then one other thing I want to mention about Brown, this isn't exactly a career issue, but when you graduate, you'll get access to the full set of over 100,000 alumni from Brown University, not just masters, but undergraduate and graduate. And there's a great system called Brown Connect Plus, where you can search by industry or by state and get information on all of the Brown alumni in that industry or state. You can send them messages through the system. And so it's a great way to create a network once you finish your degree.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Deb, have you used any of our career support services yet?
I have, yes. So despite being a full-time master's student, I also currently still work as a software engineer. Even though that is the case, I'm not actively looking for jobs. The career support office has been great in terms of just like freshening up my resume, ensuring that I do everything that I need to do in terms of like forming connections with professors and whatnot, to ensure that I can transition away from the company should I want to after my master's is done, or pretty much have anything that I need to. So yes, I have attended the resume roadshow specifically, which was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We have our next question. How supportive is Brown of students with disabilities, and what does that support system look like? So we have our student accessibility services, and they have all sorts of different accommodations, including academic accommodations. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat for you. Let's see. And you are welcome to look into that more there. Awesome. There it is. See, our next question, are extracurriculars open to grad students as well? Yeah, we have a ton of student clubs and organizations. Dev, are you involved in any type of clubs, organizations, extracurricular things on
Yeah.
campus?
So not only are there the campus-wide ones, but there are specific ones that are designated for graduate students, specifically identity groups, special interest groups, I think a couple different sports groups as well. But yes, there are some that are specifically designated for grad students. So if you're looking to just be around grad students and grads plus grad students, those are available, as well as the wider ones that include everyone on campus. So yes, I am a part of a couple of them. Play music for some. Fun times.
That's great. Thank you. Let's see. Our next question, do master students sometimes commute from other Rhode Island towns and cities? Yes, definitely. They live kind of, mostly I would say that they're around campus, but I do think there are a lot that live just kind of all over Rhode Island. You got to do what you got to do. And we totally get that. So, I think that's a good use of the Rhode Island transportation, RIPTA. You can get that bus pass and you can go anywhere in Rhode Island, but if you need to get from somewhere in Rhode Island to Providence, you can use that for there as well.
And I would say if you're looking for housing in the area, I've known a number of students who have lived in Pawtucket, which is the town that is just north of Providence and is probably closer to Brown than many parts of Providence itself. So it's definitely worth looking there.
Definitely, thank you. Let's see. So does Brown University have any DEI initiatives for underrepresented students? Yeah, we have a lot. We actually just did our last Belong at Brown presentation, which was our commitment to DEI. That is something that Brown, as well as the School of Professional Studies, really holds as an important value. And we're doing a lot of work with our diversity and action plan and implementing that. That's something that we've been updating and working on a lot in the office. So yes, we do have a lot of initiatives starting there. Joel, do you have any additional things to speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what exactly the questioner is thinking of, but Brown has been at the forefront of thinking about diversity and belonging among American institutions. It's famous for having explored its own past, investigated the relationship to slavery in the Brown past. There's a fascinating, I'm a historian, by the way, so there's an, I think, fascinating report called the Slavery and Justice Report that came out around 2006 and then was updated maybe 10 years later. That's available on the university website. And part of what came out of that exploration were a series of initiatives that range from commitments to doubling the diversity of the faculty in the course of about 7 years, which the university did manage to do, radically increasing the diversity of the student population, to increasing funding for the Providence public schools, creating pipeline programs in the schools, creating new majors, new campus organizations. So there's really, it's a very, very rich topic. And I would encourage you to explore the DIAP, DIAP website at Brown, the website of the Office of the OIED, the Office of Institutional Equity and Diversity, and the Slavery and Justice Report.
Awesome. I am going to put that link in the chat for the DIAP. All right. Our next question, does Brown provide meal plans for graduate students? Meal plans are available for graduate students. You can find more information on the dining menu or website for meal plans. I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. Let's see. There you go. But yeah, they are available to all active graduate students. Alrighty. Well, then I do think that is all of our questions for today, but thank you so much to our lovely panelists. Bev and Joel, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate everyone else for being here with us. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening.